Hi, my name is Naila Mariam Hampton with the Prosperity Agenda. Welcome to Coaching Up Close, our mini webinar series designed to work some quick tips into your busy schedule to help you improve your coaching skills. But first, let me introduce the Prosperity Agenda. For those of you who don't know, TPA is a nonprofit that's working to end persistent poverty by focusing on changing the way we think about, build programs for, and coach families under financial stress. Coaching is, of course, a big part of our DNA, and we work with organizations all over the country on their coaching programs. Before we jump in, if you're joining us live, we'll be having a question and answer session at the end of this webinar, so save your questions. Now, let's get started. Today's session is on building your self-awareness as a coach. It's important to be mindful of how our personal experiences, biases, and beliefs can influence the way we engage with participants when coaching. When we self-assess, we can prevent unintentionally imposing our thoughts on the people we're supporting. Learning to detach our personal opinions, experiences, and mindset from the way we coach allows a safe space for the participant to make authentic choices and thrive. Together, we'll explore observing how our implicit biases and beliefs shape the way we think, how a mental check-in enables us to coach through greater self-awareness, and how our mindset influences our ability to stretch ourselves as coaches. Let's start with bandwidth and cognitive capacity. So let's talk about bandwidth. Bandwidth describes the cognitive capacity you have to be fully present emotionally and intellectually when supporting individuals. Although you may be eager to support as many people in transforming their lives in a day as possible, it's important to remember that even though we're coaches, we have our limits too. Check in with your personal bandwidth each time before meeting with the participant. As a coach, it's your responsibility to be open, supportive, patient, and empathetic to the participant's needs when you're engaged in a coaching session. Maybe it's been a long day. Maybe you got some unfortunate news earlier, or you have a ton of other things on your mind. Maybe you're feeling anxious about the meeting with this next participant, and you're having trouble preparing your mind to coach without mental distractions. Some easy things you can do to focus your attention before you meet with your participant are things like taking deep breaths or doing a quick activity that can help you clear your mind. Try jotting down your thoughts or creating a quick to-do list to keep distractions off your mind while in session. Turn off your cell phone and write down the objective of your meeting to help keep a focus during sessions can also be useful. If your stress levels are too high and your cognitive capacity is truly at its limit for the day, despite attempts to increase your bandwidth, consider rescheduling. It's always best to wait until you're in the right state of mind to be fully present before entering a coaching session. Next, let's address implicit bias and examine how we can avoid unintentionally exhibiting bias towards people we are unfamiliar with. Let's form healthy relationships with people who represent communities of color and other historically marginalized individuals by being mindful and aware of how racism and stereotypes influence beliefs and can impact the way we engage with different social groups. We can take responsibility for undoing some of these harmful assumptions and stereotypes by appreciating the truths that participants share with us without jumping to conclusions. For example, in this sample scenario, you're meeting with Ernesto, a Latino American participant, and the two of you are on the topic of belief systems. He mentions how growing up, his parents had to work very hard for everything they had, and it wasn't easy. But he's trying to explore if there are any childhood memories that could be limiting his ability to see himself living a more successful lifestyle. In listening, your mind starts filling in gaps about parts of Ernesto's life he hasn't shared with you yet. You might be tempted to make assumptions about Ernesto's background and his family's challenges, what types of jobs they must have had, where they must have been from, the barriers they must have faced. But in reality, you don't really know anything other than what Ernesto has shared with you. You can avoid making unintentionally offensive comments or assumptions about participants by practicing focused listening and recognizing the influence stereotypes have on the way different social groups are represented in society. Tune into what the participant shares with you and avoid letting your personal biases and experiences influence the way you view participants. That way you can listen and respond in an authentic and respectful way. Finally, let's look at how our mindsets influence our ability to be open-minded, remain self-aware, and coach beyond our personal ideals and limitations when supporting participants in choosing their own path. Remember that every person is the expert of their own lives and is fully capable of making choices that align with their ideal lifestyle and values. For example, let's put a coaching lens on this scenario. You have been meeting regularly with your participant, Janelle, and Janelle has shared with you in other conversations that she would just love to purchase a house soon so that her and her 2 children can have more space. She's been saving and working on building her credit for the last several months to help her accomplish her goal. But today she mentions that she's going to quit her full-time job and travel with the rest of her savings while she pursues her dream to be a traveling musician. The kids will be staying with her sister while she's gone for the next 6 to 9 months. She seems saddened by the thought of leaving her sister responsible for her children, but she feels an urgent need to push forward with her musical career. Your first instinct might be to persuade her to stay and continue her track to purchasing a house for her and her children. You may feel like she's not making a sound choice, and as a coach, you feel responsible for making sure Janelle makes the best decision for her long-term well-being. But you must remember, Janelle is the driver of her own journey, and you are just a support to keep her on track toward the destination she ultimately chooses for herself. Your responsibility is not to persuade her or scare her out of it. Instead, be intentional about helping her make informed choices toward her goals. You can do this by first practicing self-management. Quiet the voice in your head that wants to give opinions and ask the powerful questions that help Janelle process her ideas. Powerful questions like, what strategies can you use to help you accomplish all of your goals without giving up on others? What are you gaining and what are you sacrificing from each of your options? How does your plan move you towards your long-term goals? What makes this option worth it for you? What steps will you take to help you get there? How will this affect the closest members in your family? What's most important? Now, obviously, you won't ask Janelle all of these questions at once, but any of these powerful questions are great ways to open the conversation up in a way that allows Janelle to consider her options and her values and make a choice that she feels good about without any outside pressure. She may decide to move forward with her vision to be a traveling musician. She may decide to go another direction, or even just use a different approach to accomplish the same goals. But no matter what she decides, she'll be able to feel confident in her choice and be thoughtful about how she takes action towards her goals. And that is what you're here for. So today, we've talked about our personal bandwidth and checking in with our cognitive capacity before every session. We've gone over implicit biases and stereotypes and how we can avoid putting our foot in our mouths when supporting clients towards their success. And we've also talked about self-management and being mindful when we are supporting someone towards accomplishing their goals. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. Join us next month for more coaching tips and resources, and be sure to stick around for the Q&A portion. And of course, if you have any questions about our coaching training programs or would like to sign up for the next Coaching Up Close mini webinar, you can visit us at www.theprosperityagenda.org.